It's Shootin the Bull, a podcast by Idaho Department of Fish and Game.
Mick's got to go open the museum.
Yeah.
Really?
I think we're going to come by.
Yeah. You got two paying customers today.
What?
You gotta give them notice, though.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
Well, here's your notice.
Which museum are you talking about?
The Mackay Historical Museum.
Oh, on Main Street, you mean?
Yeah, is that the one you run?
Yeah, well, kind of.
Okay.
I'm the curator, put it that way.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I don't know that I run it. All the volunteers run it. But.
A lot of semantics with Mick over here.
You gotta be correct.
I know.
Hey.
Pick your words carefully.
Sorry.
Well, who do we have here today, Connor?
Well, so we're sitting here this is probably the most beautiful podcast we've done to date. We're sitting here at the Mackay Fish Hatchery just outside of Mackay, Idaho. But we're sitting here with Christian Brown, the hatchery manager here, Kelsey Lear, the assistant hatchery manager, and former assistant Mackay Hatchery Manager, Mick Hoover, and also Tom Talley. But welcome, you guys, first of all.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for letting us sit on your porch, Christian. This is lovely.
Absolutely. Spot.
But yeah, I mean, I'm trying. So like, where are we in Idaho? I mean, there's several mountain ranges. If you're looking at a map, Unit 50 might be helpful for some people. But if you're looking at Idaho on a map, you're picturing like the White Knob Mountains, the Lost River Range, the Lemhi's, and then the Beaver Heads over to the east. We're kind of like right between the White Knob and the Lost River Range, correct?
Correct. Yep. So the hatchery sits on basically the southern aspect of the Lost River Range. So right across from all of Idaho's tallest peaks. That is our view.
And we could almost see, well, not now because there's smoke everywhere, but we could almost see Mount Bora.
Yeah.
Can you still? Yeah, you can still see that little nipple up there that you were pointing out yesterday.
Yep.
What did 9 out of the 14 or something highest peaks in Idaho are all in the Lost River Range?
7 of the 9. Yep.
7 and 9. Okay.
Yep. So from this porch right here, you could see 7 of those 9.
Okay.
Yep.
How long have you guys all been with Idaho Fish and Game? Starting with you, Mick.
I was at this hatchery for 28 and a half years.
28.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, and I worked at a private hatchery against the hill over there previous to that for a year and a half.
I guess we should also point out too why we're here. I mean, Mackay just celebrated its 100th anniversary, so that's kind of a big deal. Now, how many hatcheries do you know of, Mick, that have reached that milestone in Idaho? Hey, Spur.
Hey, Spur. Hey, Spur. Henry's Lake was 1924. So
Okay. Wow.
it was mainly an egg take station for a long time. It was a private hatchery before that, but Warm River has been closed. Sandpoint's now an educational center. Coeur d'Alene's been closed. Twin Falls, Cascade, Grangeville, and Mackay's number 4.
Wow.
Still in operation. So
All right.
So we're glad to have the Hay Spur still around for number 1.
Yeah.
Yay.
Christian and Kelsey, how long you guys been with Fish and Game?
I've been on for almost 10 years now with the department.
Okay.
Just kind of moving around hatchery to hatchery.
Okay.
Getting experience.
All in Mackay or?
No, kind of all over. Started out at the Sawtooth Hatchery as a seasonal there, and then got on permanent at the Springfield Fish Hatchery doing sockeye. And then lateraled over to Hay Spur, got a taste of the resident side of life, and then promoted on to Mackay and been here for about 6 years.
Sweet. Mackay, your favorite so far?
Yeah, it is, by far.
By far.
By far.
What about you, Kelsey?
Yeah, I started as a seasonal in 2018 working at Rapid River, and then went up to McCall the next summer, and then moved over to the Magic Valley region. So Niagara Springs Fish Hatchery, I was there as a seasonal, and then got hired on full-time as a fish culturist at Hagerman National, and then Mackay opened up as assistant manager and jumped on that opportunity, and it's been fun ever since. I've been here about 2 years now, so overall started in 2018, so about, what is that, 8 years? 7 years? 7 or 8 years, so.
Right on. You loving Mackay, though?
I do. Yep, Mackay's been fun. It's we'll talk about it later, but very diverse, and it's been fun, so.
Very cool. Now, why the heck is there a hatchery out here, way out in the middle of nowhere?
It's all about water.
Okay.
Yep, most of our hatcheries are established because of a water source that was in that area, which is, obviously the most important thing for fish. So
Yeah.
that's
And is that feeding off the Lost River?
no, this
Oh.
is an artesian spring that feeds this hatchery.
Oh.
What is it about the water that makes it good? Is it the temperature or the quantity, the flow?
Yeah, all of those things.
All of that.
So the available water, how much CFS or gallons per minute is available to use, that kind of dictates, what the footprint of the hatchery is as far as fish propagation goes. And then, things like the temperature and dissolved oxygen, those are probably the two most important. And for us, a average temperature of 52 degrees Fahrenheit, that's perfect for raising cold water species.
And what are some of those species that you guys are raising now?
Well, there's a wide variety, but we'll go down the list. We got rainbow trout, brook trout, tiger trout, fine spotted cutthroat, kokanee, goldens, Arctic grayling. I'm sure I'm forgetting one.
Gosh, are any of the other hatcheries raising that many different species, or is that kind of unique to just this hatchery?
It's pretty unique to this hatchery. Most other hatcheries will do usually 1 to 3, but it's pretty unique. I think we're the only ones that do 9. So
Yeah, that's really cool.
They have like their own bread and butter kind of species, and
yeah, Christian likes to describe it as a boutique fish hatchery. We just have a little bit of everything.
on an artesian well.
Yeah.
That's cool.
What drew you guys, all of you, to pursuing hatchery work? You always known you wanted to work with fish? Was it something you kind of discovered, in college or in school? What was that turning point for all of you?
I got a wildlife degree, and I got out of college right during the Reagan recession, so there were no jobs. I sent my resume to every 50 states.
So desperation.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing else to do.
I was going to waste my degree, and I sent resumes to all 50 states. Some came back unopened.
Wow.
You like sending mass emails, don't you? Or that wasn't an email probably back then.
No, that was stamps and an envelope,
Oh,
buddy.
okay.
Sorry, but in my junior year, the state, I'm from Michigan, and they said for every job out there, there's 10 people already waiting. So they just gave us an opportunity to rethink our curriculum if you wanted to, but I was too far into it, and my dad always told me go to college for something you think you're going to enjoy. So I got out of college and volunteered for the Forest Service up in Montana, then came back the following summer, worked at ASCS office, and then came back in another year, did ranch hand work up in Big Timber, Montana, and just fell in love with the mountains, and went back to Michigan, wasting my degree at an Oldsmobile dealership, and I said, that's enough. And speaking of the dark times, if you wanted to find a job, you had to subscribe to a job newsletter.
Oh, really?
Comes in the mail, okay? So by the time they typed that up and sent it out, that job could already be gone.
Yeah.
But guess what? I found my job over at the private hatchery on one of those newsletters.
Really?
Yeah, and I came out here and, again, look at the view.
Yeah.
And a lot better than northern Detroit suburb.
Yeah.
And so as the broom was frozen to my hands, I worked for 3 days over there for free just to see if I wanted to do this, and I was already kind of sold on the mountain view. So I came out here, and that's how I got started out here. But I never thought I'd be working for fish, but again, desperation, And now looking back at it, I'm glad I worked for fish.
Yeah, sounds like it's worked out pretty well.
Like Christian said, nobody complains when you show up when the truck is full of fish.
Right.
You're like the good humor man.
Yeah.
And so when somebody doesn't get their elk, that's where the complaints start. So
It's a little harder to fit elk in the stocking trucks.
yeah.
But you, Christian, what was your kind of path to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, like a lot of folks, when you're in college, you're kind of like, what do I do with my life? And
I'm still trying to figure that out.
yeah, like where do I go from here? And the one thing I did know, though, was I didn't want to work, wearing a suit and tie sitting in an office. So I knew I had to work outside doing something. And, most of my life I'd been fishing and hiking and things like that, had that tied to the outdoors. And I did my first 2 years at BSU, figuring things out, and then I saw that University of Idaho had a fisheries program, and so I transferred up there, got exposed to everything fish, and saw kind of both sides, the research and management and the aquaculture side. Got my first hatchery job on campus at the Aquaculture Research Institute raising burbot. And so that was kind of my first taste, and just, putting the time and effort into something and then seeing those go out and serve a purpose. I was like, this is actually pretty cool. I think I'm going to go the aquaculture route. And so literally the day after I graduated from U of I got my first IDFG job at the Sawtooth Fish Hatchery and started working out there raising Chinook and steelhead. And that opened my eyes, just so you can live in Stanley, work outside, and then you get to go play in the mountains after work every day. And I was like, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
Well, you picked like the two best hatcheries too.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah. So it kind of worked out for me. Started there, and I knew I wanted to make this a career. And so I kind of broadened my experience and went to different places around the state, and, worked in different programs, worked with different managers. And I was fortunate enough to have promoted back to Custer County in the Tall Mountains again. And yeah, I just enjoy the crap out of it. It's just exactly what my wife and I want, just open land and, huge mountains. It's perfect.
Do you think you'll retire here and open up a museum like Mick?
We'll see.
Someone's going to have to take it over.
That's right.
It's not off the table, I guess.
Yeah. But you, Kelsey?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Idaho, and we would go camping and fishing a lot growing up, and so I always really liked the outdoors, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do, so pretty much had made it through college with my associates and was like, okay, I really got to dial this in, so just started trying some stuff and saw wildlife ecology as a major and started taking some classes. In my very first class, I was like, yep, this is what I want to do.
You knew it that early on, huh?
Well, it like I said, it was a little later because I pretty much done like 2 years of college already, and then started going that route. But I was more thinking I'd want to do stuff with ungulates and that kind of stuff. So going to school, and then in between semesters, I got a job at Rapid River Fish Hatchery. First time I'd ever seen a Chinook, and I was like, this is heaven. So it was super fun summer, and then I went back to school.
Would you say you were hooked?
Oh, stop it.
You could say that.
Sorry.
No, that's a good one. So went back to school, finished up, and towards the end of my schooling is when I had some more of my fisheries classes.
Were you a U of I person as well?
No, I actually went to BYU, Idaho.
Okay.
And they had a really good program. I had some really awesome professors, really passionate about what they do, and so that was really fun. So yeah, I started taking some of those fish classes, and then that following summer, I was a trap tender on the South Fork for Mackay Fish Hatchery, working with Chinook, and had graduated that summer, and kind of like Christian was like, oh, this is a dream.
Yeah.
So after that, just never looked back and knew that I wanted to pursue a career in hatcheries, and loved it ever since. It's been very rewarding and very fulfilling. I love it. So
Yeah, I was wondering what it is about specifically working at a hatchery or with fish that you guys enjoy so much. Is it just the hands-on nature? Is it, seeing all the different developmental stages,
I guess for me, it's a very well-rounded position. So when you work at one of these facilities, I mean, you're a plumber, you're a carpenter, you're a welder, and you're raising animals. So you kind of, in order to be
you're
successful,
a fish rancher.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, you got to make it all happen, and you become really self-sufficient. You learn a lot of trades that I didn't ever think I was gonna weld.
Yeah.
That wasn't something I thought about when I was in college, and so just having that skill set, working with your hands, and then there's also a lot of coordination and logistics. You're using your brain and your hands to perform a task that serves people. It's super rewarding to put all that time and effort into doing something, and then when you go stocking, that's what it's for.
Yeah.
You see the direct result when someone catches a fish while you're stocking fish. It's just kind of immediate gratification.
Yep.
What he said goes back to the rural setting here.
Yeah.
You're 100 miles from everywhere. You kind of need to know how to weld.
Yep.
Because there's no substitute when you need something welded. And then you can fabricate phenomenal things for this particular hatchery exactly like this. You can't go to a welder down in Idaho Falls and try to explain that to somebody.
Right.
And so you do, in a rural setting like this, you do have to be self-sufficient and learn some of those skills
You got
to
to be
be
kind of
self.
a problem solver,
Yeah.
innovator, like you were
Absolutely.
saying.
Yep.
Even back in the early times.
Oh,
you know,
man.
there
Yeah.
wasn't a part that you just go get. If you
Nope.
wanted it, you'd have to make it.
No.
Out of a milk can or
Yeah,
something
exactly.
else.
Well, everything was unfortunately made out of wood and hardware cloth a long time ago.
Yeah.
So everything's been replaced by plastic now. So,
Yeah.
and
Real.
on a simpler level, the feeding frenzy.
Yeah.
It's very addictive.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, you do that to the public. You show a kid how to feed a fish, and they just come at you with their mouths open like jaws. you
Yeah.
know. That's kind of addictive.
fun.
Yeah.
What's the typical, or is there a typical sort of trajectory that someone takes if they want to get into working in a hatchery, or does it just vary?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty typical. So the easiest way to start is to get a seasonal position, and then so seasonal hatchery jobs. There's a lot.
Do you have to have a
throughout the state.
degree for that?
No, it's preferred if you have some background in it, but
Okay.
it's not required. So I'd say that's kind of where a lot of people start. I feel like very rare for a fish culturist position to have not worked somewhere as a seasonal. So I'd say that's probably where you start. But full-time positions, fish culturist is the beginning stage, and then fish hatchery assistant manager, and then fish hatchery manager. But you could even go on to like headquarters position. So we have the fisheries production program coordinator, and then the fisheries production manager there. And then, I mean, if you wanted, you could keep going up from there too.
Yeah.
But I'd say that's specifically hatcheries.
Okay.
That's kind of that path. So it's not uncommon for people to be at a facility for a few years or several years, and then just kind of move around between the hatcheries and work your way up. So.
You always got a place to stay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Does it get hard, Christian? Because you mentioned your spouse lives here with you. Does it get hard if you are uprooting and have to find jobs for spouses in some of these more rural hatchery environments?
Definitely, yeah. That is one of the challenges of the hatchery lifestyle is, finding work for your partner. Most of our hatcheries are remote, and there's, not a lot of large companies or things like that. So I feel like, yeah, it's a challenge. But if, your partner, for example, my wife works for the Forest Service, and there's an office right there in Mackay. So I think we were fortunate in that sense to both have permanent jobs in a beautiful remote location like this.
Yeah. I mentioned at the start of this podcast that we're sitting here on Christian's porch. Something that I think a lot of people probably don't know is that all of our hatchery staff live on site at our hatcheries. Why is that important?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. I would say, you're taking care of live animals year round. And so if something happens, we have staff here that can go take care of a situation. And like I was mentioning about the disease stuff, you have eyes on your fish at all times. So you're driving back from the grocery store. I'm looking at the raceways. I'm looking, what's going on around the hatchery. And it just kind of keeps everything secure. And you're basically always on call when you're here. So it's just a kind of a backup in case something happens. And there's certain hatcheries that have, for example, pumped well water. The power goes out, you don't have water going to your fish, so you need to respond to that and, get pumps running and jump into action.
Yeah.
Most fish need water, right?
Yes.
Some of them.
Historically, the houses were provided because places like this were so rural.
Yeah.
Not everybody had a Model T to run into town at their whim and will.
Yeah, to grab more horses.
Oh, go get a gallon of milk. It was just, you went to town like once a week.
Yeah.
And so if you think this is rural now, think about, 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Pretty darn rural. So
That's a good
houses
point.
were provided as an attraction to have employees.
You got to be pretty passionate about what you do to live at work.
Yeah.
There's never any really turning it off and going home for the day. You're always at work.
Hell of a commute.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's kind of two sides to that, right? Like you said, the commute is, I look at the mountains in the morning and I walk to work in, less than a minute. But also when you're off work, my windows are looking right at the raceways and the
Yep.
buildings, and it sometimes it is hard to kind of turn that off and kind of get away from it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this place open to the public?
Absolutely. Yeah, so from sun up to sundown, folks are more than welcome to come walk around, fish the kids' pond.
Yeah.
Come get a tour.
Make a vacation out of it.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of great fishing around the area, and folks are definitely welcome to stop by and come check us out.
A lot of wildlife too. We saw a couple of mule deer bucks
Yep.
leaving the hatchery this morning.
You should have seen how fast I jumped up out of my chair to grab my binoculars.
Yeah. Kelsey, you said you've seen some wildlife come through here.
Yeah, this is a pretty neat spot. It's not uncommon to look out your back door and see pronghorn passing through, or elk, or like you said, deer.
Yeah.
Occasionally we'll get some moose that get up a little bit closer, which is fun.
Yeah.
Last winter we had a lot of chuckers that were hanging out around the hatchery, which was really cool to see. So yeah, tons of wildlife. It's pretty fun.
I notice here, I don't know if you guys just don't have birds up here, but there's no netting over the raceways. Is that, does stuff ever fall in?
Yeah, I mean, that is...
Or fall out.
Or fall out?
Yeah, both. So it does attract a lot of birds, right? You got,
Oh.
it's free fish just there
Yeah.
for the taking. But so the larger fish, we don't cover those because we're stocking so often in the summer that, someone has to get in there, crowd those fish up, load them onto a truck. If you had a netting over that, it makes it a little more difficult to get in and actually work with those fish.
Yeah.
So we have some temporary covers here for our fingerling fish that kind of protects them from the birds, but we do see herons, ospreys, eagles, magpies even will get kokanee sometimes.
We've had snakes
Really?
that will go after fish as well.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Little terrestrial garter snakes, or?
yeah.
It's also tough too. I mean, with the view that we have here, to have a giant
Yeah, that's a good point.
cover over the raceways, it would really detract from that. So
Yeah. So it's more for the view.
It's also it'd be a lot of work to. This hatchery's pretty old, and we've got some, like our spring source. There's some of these that I think to do some of that groundwork would be a little bit intimidating,
Yeah.
just with where the water's at and things like that, and then also cost to put that over is another big factor.
Yeah.
So,
So how do you combat predation if you can't keep them out with netting or a cover?
I mean, to a certain extent, you just kind of
Just deal with it.
Yeah.
you're gonna request a little more eggs at the start, knowing that you're gonna have some
loss.
some loss there. Yeah.
You ever get a deer or something that falls in there?
It's not very common.
Okay.
Since I've been here, I have seen one deer that got into the raceway, and luckily I just, someone was doing their rounds and they saw it pretty quickly, and it was just kind of standing in the water, and just like, what do I do? I couldn't quite get out, so we had to go and
Just taking a dip.
grab the deer and get it out of there, and it ran away pretty quick. So.
What's the deal with this pole barn back here? Why does it look so crooked? Who
Tom?
designed it?
Well, I think it looks pretty good. Connor's referring to one of our storage buildings that the engineering department provided for the hatchery a few years ago.
Where is that? Where the horse bones were?
No,
So Mick, you were here how many years again?
28 and a half.
When did you first dig up horse bones?
Well, my passion for the history here was there was stuff still here, from 25.
Yeah.
And so I've always wanted to do, we get, I think fourth grade usually comes out for a tour here, and we'll get other busloads of people that come out. And I always wanted to share a little history when they get here. And so I gathered up what was already here, but kind of went on a search for one of the embossed 10-gallon milk cans, and was allowed to tour all the other hatcheries in the state, hunting for one of those. And one of the places that, coulda, shoulda had milk cans was Hagerman. And out behind that slaughter Quonset hut, there's an area where there was just horse bones sticking up out of the ground. And
Hagerman horses?
not those horses, but
I'm just joking.
horses of that area, let's
Yeah.
say. But that's how many pounds of horse meat that we went through hundreds of thousands of pounds of horse meat. And so you can imagine by 1947, we were talking about developing some kind of artificial dry food for fish because technically we were, quote, running out of horses in the lower part of the state by then. And so by 56, we had pellets, although we were still feeding some red meat back in late 50s. So.
Now, this place is cool for many reasons, but one of the things that came up when we were kind of originally talking about the 100 years of this place, and Mick, this is where you come in. This place has kind of a checkered past. Makes it sound negative, but am I correct about that? You're the wordsmith over here.
I don't know about checkered. I mean, it was
an interesting past.
If you're alluding to certain diets here, that was
slaughtery hatchery. What's a slaughtery hatchery?
That was statewide, but
so back in the day,
you got to keep in mind that times were tough when we were doing hatcheries back in the 20s and the teens and stuff. So
you weren't back then,
huh?
You weren't back then.
I was not back then.
Okay.
But reading a book or buying reports, the guys back then, they just had to do what they could do back then, and they would scrounge any kind of meat that they could get, and a lot of it was slaughterhouse byproducts. So anything like fluked livers and stuff like that human consumption couldn't be sold as that. So those went to feeding fish.
Yeah.
And that included the greatest amount of red meat fed to any fish in the hatchery system was horse meat.
Wow.
And we did have 3 slaughter hatcheries where they had a corral, and you would buy horse meat, quote, on the hoof, and somebody would go out and slaughter a horse in the morning. And so American Falls was one of them. They had a Navy Quonset hut that they had. They had a corral there, and there was a door cut in the bottom of the Quonset hut, about 8 feet wide and about 4 feet tall. You'd roll the horse in through that door, and there was a grate inside. You'd bleed that horse out right there. Then he would go to being butchered, and then the workers would come in that morning. While that was going on, they would feed out what red meat was ground up the day before, and it was rude and crude, slopping it into the raceways with a big spoon. So it was ugly back then.
Did you have to, not you, obviously, but back then, like, did you have to condition fish to go after red meat? Or is it just something that's all that there is, then they go after it?
Can't teach fish very much, but whatever was thrown at them, they would try to eat.
Okay.
But it was very, very, very inefficient.
Yeah.
You would get 8 or 10 pounds of red meat and only get 1 pound of fish back. Mm-hmm. So you were going through a lot of red meat back then. That's why you were lined up to get any kind of slaughterhouse byproducts at that point.
Yeah.
And I would imagine a rural setting like this that you would take any kind of roadkill that you could get your hands on, any kind of local rancher that had an animal go down, they'd probably call us and have them come down and slaughter that. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was kind of ugly back then.
Yeah.
And the stories I've always heard is that they would somehow suspend the heads of those animals over the raceways as an automatic feeder as the maggots fell off of them, feeding the fish, which is, hey, it's a perfect insect sort of larvae for feeding fish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My problem with that is I can't imagine the smell and the amount of yellow jackets that would be hanging around the hatchery.
Yeah.
Or the aesthetics. I mean, you walk up to, let's go tour Mackay. Yeah, horse head floating over. Yeah.
Well, I
imagine.
I don't think hatcheries were a real vacation destination back
like
then.
They are now.
Yeah. It's like, go see the fish, and it's like, oh, man.
Yeah.
What is that smell? But like I say, out of necessity, though, and what was I guess, in a way, convenient.
Yeah.
So these slaughter hatcheries, Eagle was another one, and Hagerman was another one. Hagerman was a big one. And by the way, this is kind of a South Idaho thing where there was, for some odd reason, more horses on ranches down here than it is up north. So they were grinding up what we call non-game fish up there more than they had horse meat up there. So it was a little bit different up north. But,
Okay. Like carp and
carp, suckers,
yeah.
bullheads.
You said even mountain whitefish, right?
No.
Oh.
I don't know. I've never seen that we considered those non-game.
Okay.
Fishermen around here, I've been told, used to throw them on the bank because they didn't look like a traditional trout. They didn't,
Right.
know what they were really looking at. But you want to talk about a native?
Oh yeah. No, I
white-
wasn't categorizing
the
it
white
that way.
fish. The whitefish here are a true native to this drainage.
Right.
So,
But back then, you said that they would even throw in mountain whitefish to feed the other fish? Or no? Oh, okay.
no.
I don't know why that's on my notes then.
No.
What about, what are these meat tubs?
Meat tubs are just a humongous, I don't even know how many gallons. What would you guess on the gallons of meat? One of
Like
those,
the black tubs.
yeah, those big.
Like a 40 or something.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty big and heavy, empty.
Yeah.
Then you fill it full of red meat, and you're kind of struggling to walk along the hatchery and feed fish with that.
Oh.
So, but yeah, imagine that being put in the bucket and then sitting overnight, and then you got to go slop it out there.
A little different now.
Yeah,
bit,
a little different now. Thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
I couldn't slaughter a horse in the morning ever. So,
Yeah.
but
The food that you provide now is, I'm guessing, some sort of a compounded, special, granular blend.
Yeah.
Is that
Correct. Yeah, it's all pelleted feeds, and
It's a boutique hatchery.
yeah, Kelsey's actually got a feed
Oh.
label she brought so she can.
Oh, cool.
Can we actually try one?
If you want to.
Really?
I'll
Yeah,
let
well,
you read what's in the ingredients.
I'd like to
first,
see that
but-
done.
Can I?
So it's just a
Honor.
pelleted.
Have you ever eaten one, Mick?
No, God, are you
So-
kidding me?
Are they poisonous?
No, it's so it's just a pelleted feed, so it looks
Yeah.
almost like.
No, they're really good
Get one.
for you.
You would try one?
I don't know. Let me smell it.
No, you just have to just pop it, and then Kelsey's gonna read the ingredients.
So
Oh my
it's
God.
mostly.
Oh no, don't tell me. I want to eat it first.
Okay.
You
You
want
only-
to Ava?
I want to see if
doesn't
Oh,
kill
man.
over.
you knock,
Yeah, you
knock
can tell
yourself
the,
out.
The taste profile.
Yeah, well, this is a boutique hatchery.
You only brought two?
No,
Do you want one, Mick?
Oh,
I'm
no.
sorry, I should have passed them
Smells
around.
really
Do you want
bad.
one?
Oh, I'm good. I've had plenty.
You have?
Yeah, man.
You're full?
You're not a real hatchery employee until you eat the
I
fish.
figured there was some sort of hazing
Oh,
ritual.
God, I guess I'm not a real employee then.
All right.
Ava can have mine.
Yeah, he doesn't even want it.
She won't even eat it. That's not a good sign.
I'm not going to die from this, am I?
So,
No, it's
Connor's
got,
face,
it's got
he's
a
grimacing.
bunch of vitamins in there,
It
actually.
just tastes like a crunchy fish. Okay, what's in it?
so the first ingredient is fish meal, wheat flour,
Yep.
soybean meal, fish oil. So most feeds, we go off of a percentage of protein and fat is usually what you're looking at.
It's like great for your coat.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, it's usually high in protein. But to kind of go back to
I've been trying to fatten up for hunting season.
to kind of go back to Mick's point as far as them feeding red meat, and it would take 8 to 10 pounds of meat to get 1 pound of flesh on a fish. These feeds that they've come out with now, a good conversion or a typical conversion is usually about 1 pound of feed to 1 pound of flesh. So we've come a really long ways. Like that
Whoa.
8 to 10 pounds is not as efficient as these feeds that they've made now. So
Yeah.
it's pretty wild when you think about it in that way. So,
So there's a whole science to it that it's not just scooping up a bunch of food and throwing it out in the raceways. It's meant to be efficient, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a competitive industry with different companies trying to put out the best product to get, like Kelsey mentioned, that conversion. If you can, fine tune your ingredients and put quality things in there, I mean, your fish are going to perform better typically.
Yeah. And there's got to be people that are like still like, why do we have hatcheries? Like, what's the purpose of raising fish? There's plenty of air quotes. There's plenty of fish out there in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the purpose of?
Well, it's a tool, right? So, as there's fisheries managers who are kind of keeping a pulse on how fisheries are doing. And, maybe there's a scenario where, hey, numbers are down, there's a lot of fishing pressure. That's where the hatchery comes in. We're a tool to supplement certain sport fishes for folks. So a great example, that's just one side of it. You have, conservation hatcheries as well. Take, for example, the Springfield Hatchery and Eagle program, conserving wild sockeye. If it weren't for those hatcheries, Idaho would not have sockeye anymore.
Mm.
So there's a wide variety of reasons why, but what it really boils down to is, keeping anglers happy and providing fish for the public to be able to catch.
Opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you used a term a few minutes ago that I wanted to clarify with resident versus, I guess, non-resident. Is that the alternate term?
We kind of say like resident and anadromous.
Out-of-staters.
Out-of-staters, yeah. Well, I wasn't sure, but do you want to clarify that a little bit for any listeners that...
Yeah, I guess when we typically think of resident, we're talking mostly trout or species that don't migrate out to the ocean. Mm. So your hatcheries, when you say a resident hatchery, they're primarily raising trout or other warm water species like catfish and things like that. Right. Whereas anadromous, those are going to be your migrating fish that go to the ocean and come back to spawn. So like your steelhead and your salmon.
Are those typically harder to raise in the hatcheries, in a hatchery environment?
Steelhead versus trout?
Just migratory fish versus...
there's another
resident
component. I wouldn't say one's more difficult than the other, but you do have to deal with, an outgoing fish that wants to go to the ocean. They go through the process of smoltification, so their body's going through different changes to where they're trying to get their body to adapt to salt water at that point. And so there are some challenges that come later on in the growth cycle, right before they're going to be released, to try and get those to the proper size. Mm-hmm. But I would say, every species, they're different slightly in how they're reared and what goes into them. And that's kind of why Mackay is a fun and challenging hatchery, is because there's subtle differences in how we rear and how we go about growing those fish.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about that process. I'm kind of new to this.
Yeah.
It starts with eggs, I'm guessing. Where do these eggs come from?
Yeah, so they come from
fish.
A couple. Yeah, yep.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they come from a few different places. So specifically, like Mackay, some species will get from other hatcheries. So rainbow trout will get eggs from Spur usually. We also have like tiger trout and brook trout, and some other species that we'll get from Wyoming Game and Fish Department. And then, where else am I missing, Christian? Where else we get? Oh, and then sometimes we'll do our own spawning. So like Henry's Lake, we'll go up during the winter time and take eggs there and then bring them back here to hatch out. So that's where the process starts, is an egg. So
how are those collected? Yeah,
so spawning, usually what we do is you take your eggs from the female. There's a couple different ways you can do that. Sometimes, like if it's an anadromous fish, they're going to die after they spawn anyway, so they'll cut the fish open and get the eggs that way. Henry's Lake, you can either, or fish that are not anadromous that can keep producing year after year, you can either hand strip those eggs out of the female, or at Henry's Lake we'll do an air spawn, and so we just stick a little needle in and shoot some air into their cavity, and it'll just push those eggs out. So it shouldn't hurt them. It's a pretty gentle process.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't kill the fish?
No. So yeah, we just...
What was it? Hand strip? What do you say?
Yeah, so hand strip. So you just essentially are just kind of easing those eggs
massaging it out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, and just pushing those eggs out.
Yeah.
So there's at that point, once we have the eggs, and then they'll also collect the milk from the males, and then usually...
It's called milt?
Yeah, milt. Yep, so sperm, milt from the males. And then they'll combine those, and then it's 30 seconds about 30 seconds that the milt is actually active. So it's a pretty quick process. And then once they're fertilized, we call those eggs green eggs. And then at that point, they're pretty fragile. So you just kind of want to let them, what we call eye up. And that's when they actually reach the development where they have their eye spot. So brought those so you could see that.
Kelsey's got a little example here in a little vial.
Show and tell.
So at eye up, we'll shock and pick through the eggs, get any of that, the ones that didn't make it, get that mortality out of the eggs, and then from there they'll hatch, and from that point they're called alvin or a sac fry, which is this here. So they hatch out, and then they have their yolk sac.
Yeah, so Kelsey's holding up right now. It's like a little little vial where you put your gold flakes in when you're panning for gold.
Those eggs are bigger than I thought they would be.
Yeah.
And depending on the species, they'll be smaller or bigger. So Chinook, part of their life history of going out to the ocean, they can get really big, and then they have really big eggs. Trout are usually a bit smaller.
Those are about the size of a pea, I'd say.
Yeah.
You can see the little eyes, the little dark spots. And then these, what were these?
So,
sac fry.
Yep. So, or alvin. That's
Alvin.
Yep. So that's after they hatch, they have their their yolk sac, and
They almost
so
look like little tadpoles.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Will they outgrow this vial once they hatch?
these ones won't. But but yeah, and then after
these at all?
so their yolk sac, they'll then absorb that yolk sac, and then once they absorb that, that's how we know that they're ready to be put on to feed.
Okay.
So once they're ready, you can kind of see. So these are, at this stage, we call them fry.
And these look like little fish. I mean, they have
Yep.
little stripes and fully developed fins.
Yep, and you can see on these ones their belly where you can kind of see it's seaming up.
Yeah.
So at that point, we know that they're ready to eat. We put them on feed, and then from there, it's pretty smooth sailing. You just feed them and grow them to size for whatever your request is.
It's about
But yeah,
the
that's
average size of fish that I catch.
Yeah.
Did you just go like gather these this morning, or do you keep these like in formaldehyde or something as demonstration
no,
purposes?
these are for
Okay.
demonstration purposes.
Very
so.
cool. Dare you to eat one of these fry.
You're the adventurous eater here.
Mick, how many fish do you think you've hand stretched? What'd you call it?
Hand stripped.
Hand stripped in your lifetime?
Actually, I did more at the private hatchery than I ever did here. So, never had brood stock here.
Oh, okay.
So, I participated over at Henry's Lake, but not on a regular basis.
So you're a little rusty.
Oh, I could still do it. It's,
I think
it's not.
muscle
It's like
memory.
Don't challenge
yeah,
it.
it's like riding a bicycle. Really, I mean, it's not too technical.
Yeah.
That last vial
Oh, yeah.
that you had, that's the fry, right?
Yep.
And then
Yeah.
what's
So from there, so fry. And then once they get a little bit bigger, we usually call them fingerling or par. You can see they have their par marks on.
And those are the
side.
stripes on the side.
They're kind of like little circles, like oblong,
Oh.
I guess, pattern on their sides. And then once they grow past that, juvenile, and then once they're big enough, we usually 3 to 6 inches is usually what we refer to as a fingerling, and then anything above 6 inches we call a catchable. We usually our requests are usually 10 to 12 inches for catchable requests for stocking into waters for anglers to catch. So.
what's a smolt? Like what stage of that process?
So smolt, it goes back to what Christian was saying. That's more used with like anadromous.
Anadromous, okay.
Anadromous species. So
And would that be that fry stage, like that size, or?
No, that's more like the 5 to 8 inches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
We're talking a lot about fish here. How many fish are you guys popping out a year?
Well, I'd say on average we put out total about 2.8 to 3.1 million fish every year.
Holy smokes. Where is that on the higher end across the state, hatchery to hatchery, or is that about average?
It kind of depends, but I'd say it's right there up there with a lot of our anadromous hatcheries. They put out around the same amount of fish.
Okay.
And with ours, they're in different life stages at that point. And most other hatcheries, it's, we're going to put out all of our steelhead smolts or all of our Chinook smolts, whereas we're putting out fingerling cutthroat, fingerling kokanee salmon, 12-inch rainbow trout, things like that. So it's a little more diverse here in the life stages.
Cool.
Yep.
Where are all these fish going, and how do you get them there? I mean, there's so many different species that you're producing. Are they going all over the state, or are they staying somewhat regional?
Yeah, and that's another thing that might be a little unique to Mackay is our programs are very far-reaching, and especially for the fingerling kokanee, those go to just about every region in the state.
Wow.
So, yeah, from northern Idaho all the way down to the Utah border.
It's got to be a lot of logistical, challenges with that, transporting these fish. I'm assuming that you have to keep the water temperature, a certain,
yeah, so we So stocking out fingerling and catchables, we have stocking trucks, which is a big truck with a tank on the back of it that can hold a lot of water. And then we also have hooked up to those air stones, so we have supplemental oxygen going because they're essentially on life support once they're on the truck.
Yeah.
We also have aerators in the tank so that it will break up the gases that we don't want in the water as they're being transported.
What's the time frame, like the window between loading the fish in the truck and getting them to their final?
So it depends. Christian has gone all the way up to the Panhandle to haul fish, which is, was that a 6 or 7 hour drive or more? So
What kind of fish?
Those were kokanee for Hayden Lake.
Nice.
Yep.
yeah, so it can range. So I'd say most of our stockings are probably within an hour or two.
Okay.
For catchable stockings. So our catchable stocking is a lot more focused around here.
Local, yeah.
But yeah, as you mentioned, water temperature. Our water temperature here is about 52 degrees. And so as we go out stocking, our water will kind of warm up a little bit. But we like to keep our tank temperature and the water temperature that we're stocking in within like 10 degrees is usually what we're looking for. So we take temperatures I guess I should back up and say as we're transporting, we're checking on those fish every hour as we're driving. So we'll stop and take dissolved oxygen levels to make sure that those are in a proper range. And then that meter also checks temperature. So we're checking that as we're driving up to the spot. And then once we get there, we'll take a temperature of the water that we're going to release into and then do another DO check to make sure that everything's lining up well and that's going to be a suitable place to put those fish. And then we'll offload. We'll offload by hand. Sometimes they call it direct plant, where you'll just hook up a pipe and release the fish, or a scatter plant, you'll net them off. Like that's usually in a river or a stream that you'll do that. So that's kind of what that looks like.
If the receiving water is a higher or lower temperature than what your truck temperature is, do you try to match that?
So they have like a 10 degree range is they can handle that no problem. So that's usually fine. And most of the time where we're going, it's usually colder, which is better for them. If it's anything super warm, we'll make a different decision. I haven't really ever run into that where I've had to make a judgment call of if I should put those fish there or not. But yeah, as long as you're within that 10 degrees, you're usually pretty safe to put those fish in there. So
And you could acclimate them, like if it was super cold, that's generally not an issue going from warmer to colder water with trout, but you could always throw ice to keep your tank cooler throughout that trip.
Okay.
But like Kelsey mentioned, I mean, with the equipment that we have and our protocols for transporting fish these days, it's actually a really smooth process. And we wouldn't even go somewhere if we knew beforehand that water temp's going to be just unacceptable for fish, So there's a lot that goes into it. And during those checks, I mean, how your fish are doing. There's never, I'm going to pull up to the boat ramp and hopefully they're okay. We're doing these checks hourly, and it actually goes really smooth if you're doing all of the things on the checklist.
Do you ever run into anglers while you're out there stocking?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for example, we go to Mackay Reservoir all the time with catchable trout, and we're kind of local heroes here. I mean, when the kids are hanging out at the boat ramp swimming and the stocking truck pulls up, they're screaming like, yeah. And then it's really fun. So we interact with anglers almost everywhere we go. We have some more remote spots that maybe you won't see anybody, but I'd say for the most part, we're interacting with folks everywhere we go.
Yeah, because trucking these fish can't be the only method of transport. What are some other ways that you'll stock fish?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we also have, here at Mackay, we also have a high mountain lake program. So during the summer months, we raise fingerling. And then to go to these high mountain lakes, we'll put them into liquid storage bags. So it's like a 2.5 gallon plastic bag. We'll put the fish in there with we usually do a pound of fish per gallon of water. So we don't do more than a pound of fish per bag. And then we'll fill it up with some supplemental oxygen and then tie it off. And then we'll take it to an airport here in Mackay and give it to some pilots. Here we go through Sawtooth Flying Company, and they've been doing this kind of stuff for a long time. So we'll give the bags to them, and they'll take them to the flights and drop them. So I've never done it myself, but I've heard they'll go up to the lake and just kind of get as close as they can and then pull up and release the fish. From what I've heard, they have a hopper in the plane, so they'll pour the fish in the water into that hopper, and the pilot will tell the guy who's going with them to go ahead and
Let it
release
rip.
them, and they'll go into the lake. So that's the majority of how our high mountain lakes get stocked, but we'll also have, we'll backpack them in as well. Or sometimes like Region 6, they'll do horseback and stuff like that. So
Really?
there's a variety of ways that you can do it, but yeah, that's
pretty cool.
pretty fun.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'd like to get one of those bags and backpack up somewhere sometime.
For sure.
Is it noticeable when you're backpacking with them on your back? Like, is it clear? Can you see that you have a bunch of fish back there?
So I just put it in a backpack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That was a
you
stupid
can-
question.
No, no, no. But
I
it
just
does
picture
feel-
like passing you on the trail or something, going up to some mountain lake,
Yeah.
and a bunch of fish are like jiggling around back
Sloshing
there.
around
Yeah,
on your back.
but you
But-
can't even see them.
No, but you
Okay.
can feel it, like the water sloshing around as
Yeah.
you're going over stuff. It's
Yeah.
kind of funny, but
Golly, man, that's good training
Yeah.
for hunting season. Rucking.
And what kind of species are you typically taking up to those high mountain lakes?
yeah. So we do for the High Mountain Lake program a lot of rainbow trout, West Slope cutthroat, golden trout, grayling. Am I missing one, Christian?
That's pretty much it. Yeah, those kind of the bread and butter there.
Yellowstone cutthroat as well. But yeah, those are the majority of the ones that we're stocking out there.
Not West Slope cutthroat trout.
Yes, what West Slope.
West Slope.
Oh yeah, West Slope.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'd say that's the most commonly stocked high
Oh,
mountain lake
okay.
fish is the West Slope.
okay.
Yep.
Now, is the golden trout, is that a native species?
I don't believe it's native to Idaho.
Okay.
Those are coming out of California typically.
Yeah.
And then, other states have developed brood programs to rear that strain from California.
I've never caught one here, but I caught one in Wyoming once at one of their high mountain lakes.
We
Are
actually get.
Are they sterile when they're out in? No. Okay.
Well, it depends. There's some requests that do ask for a sterile fish and others
Yeah.
that aren't. So it just depends
Okay.
on the request. And like brook trout, for example, these days, most of those are going to be sterile.
Okay.
Yep.
But right
Now, when
now
you say
you can,
sterile, is that the same as, what is it, diploid?
Triploid.
Triploid?
Triploid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Getting my terms
Yeah.
all mixed up here. So that's the same?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
right here is the only place in the state that you can go and catch golden in an actual stream. And it's done through from this hatchery to the high school as an aquaculture program. And years ago, one of the students there as a project took the origin of the goldens were leftover little dabs of fish here. And we raised them at the aquaculture program at school, and she took them up Lower Cedar Creek. And just this year, when we went and planted more in that stream, she found one of her original fish from 2018,
Really?
10-year-old fish and 9-year-old fish. And so for a moment in time,
That's an old fish.
Yeah.
yeah, it's an old fish in a very small stream.
Yeah.
It was, all the rest of them had adipose clips after that, and this had an adipose. So we know it's one of her original fish. And for a moment in time, she went up there after I told her I saw fish in the creek where there were no fish, supposedly. And she went up and verified it was her fish 2 years later. And so at that moment, she had the state record for the largest golden caught in a stream in Idaho. And that it was soon be broken when the news got out. Everybody wanted to go, but
Everybody hit it.
it is a checkbox for a lot of anglers. So
That's awesome. See, I really should have brought the fly rod, man.
Yeah. I'll rent you one.
Okay. How does this facility operate throughout the winter?
We're still running and gunning. Yep. So the water's constantly moving, so nothing freezes here.
Okay.
We still have fish on station that are being produced for the following spring and summer.
Okay.
So there's really no downtime, I would say, as far as rearing fish here. We always have something on site, and operations continue in the -30, -40 days, and yeah, kind of makes it fun, I think.
Yeah.
And the species that you raise probably varies throughout what time of year it is.
Yeah, it kind of depends on our requests. So, if you have a catchable request that, hey, these rainbows need to go to these water bodies from late spring to late summer, then we'll typically get those eggs about a year and a half prior in order to complete that
Wow.
growth to about 12 inches. So there's those, and then for kokanee, we might get those in the fall, and those will be stocked out in the following May. So they're only here for 6 to 8 months.
And I assume you're not stocking during the dead of winter.
Correct. Yeah, there's very few water bodies that aren't frozen in this part of the state. So yeah, I'd say January, February, we're not doing a whole lot of stocking then. Yep.
With 31 game species and over 35 million acres of publicly accessible land, hunting in Idaho is unmatched. Idaho Fish and Game hopes you make this your best season yet and reminds you to do your part and ensure it's a safe, ethical, and enjoyable season for others as well. Be sure to review the seasons and rules before heading out. And if you purchased a big game tag, don't forget to submit your mandatory hunter report. Your first-hand data is the science needed to help manage populations for the future. For tips to plan your hunt, check out gohuntidaho.org.
You mentioned milk cans. You were on the search for milk can. What was
a
the significance
10-gallon
of a
milk can. Pardon?
What was the significance of that? Like, why were there milk cans at a fish hatchery?
Well, they were common. They were all over. Every ranch had milk cans.
They're milk cans.
Milk cans.
Yeah, well, they could have.
Oh, is there some truth to that?
Could have been.
Oh.
Could have been. I mean, they're just a handy container.
Okay.
And if you look at the list of all the old hatcheries, they were not that far from a railroad track. So we actually had 2 box cars that were devoted to hauling fish all over the state. So Warm River, which is northeast of Ashton, would spawn fish, put them in a milk can. The railroad would come by, it'd stop at Ashton, pick up those eggs, or vice versa. And then it would just travel. I mean, you got to go over the railroad tracks to get to American Falls. Every hatchery was on the railroad.
Huh.
Hay Spur was the railroad spur for the town of Hay.
Really?
So those milk cans, like I say, were on every ranch. And so they're just a handy container, and we hauled eggs in them.
Yeah,
you'd haul little fry. So there's a guy in that box car as it's going down the tracks. He's in there ladling water in that milk can to keep it aerated.
Really?
Yeah, what a job.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the ways we transported fish and eggs back then. So there were embossed milk cans that said Idaho Department of Fish and Game. And so, in other words, don't be taking that back to your ranch. That comes back to us, and it gets dropped off at one of these hatcheries.
Yeah.
And those are really how the first airplanes, we put milk cans full of fish up on the airplanes, some of which the milk can went out with the fish into the lake, was what I heard. And then they were put on pack animals to go up in the mountain lakes. And I've heard about you would have ice inside that 10-gallon milk can tied to the back of a mule or a horse, and that ice-cold water would be, first of all, the ice cubes would be tinkling around in there, scaring the horses, plus you dump a bunch of cold water on the back of a horse. It's a rodeo in the forest. And so there's multiple stories of losing milk cans in the forest before the lake.
Yeah.
You think they're still out there?
What?
The cans.
Sure. Let's pretend.
You're right.
Yeah. I know what we're doing this afternoon.
Yeah.
But
And you've been on a quest to find one, right?
well, I went on a quest, and believe it or not, I sent out a global email and got a handful of requests. It's like, oh, you got to go to Hayspur. Oh, you got to go to Clark Fork. And I went everywhere, and there were no more.
Huh.
I never found one. However, I was shown the bone pile, not literally, but the scrap pile, let's say, or the obsolete equipment piles. And I didn't really want to bring any of that home, but they were going to be discarded or, scrapped or whatever. And so I brought a bunch of other stuff home, historical stuff. But didn't get what we had wished for, but we got a bunch of other stuff, and believe it or not, turned all that discarded equipment into an interpretive hatchery history exhibit that went in the 3 largest museums in the state.
Wow.
So that's not housed here on the property.
No, but it is stored in Mackay.
Okay.
At the museum there?
Yeah.
So folks can still go check all that stuff out.
Well, you're using the term museum lightly. It's more storage than a museum. However, it does show the chronology of hatchery fish being reared, from taking eggs, spawning, incubation, transportation in many different directions, and then early rearing and et cetera, and then all the water quality equipment that's involved with finding good places to stock fish.
Yeah.
So
Was that all you that started that?
yeah, pretty much.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that something we can go take a look at later today?
You bet.
Cool.
And I have a counterpart historian, Sharon Clark, that's still working for the department in Boise. So she had a different avenue. She was given a humongous handwritten stocking ledger starting in 1913 to 1933. And her supervisor said, here, you can have this, or you can keep it, or you can throw it away. And that's the horror stories that we've heard many, many times over, is what's been thrown away. Beautiful handwriting back then. It's just every page is suitable for framing. It's phenomenal stuff. And it's records that we had not known of before that. So,
Mick, on those milk cans, so when was the transition from the can to the plastic bag, and how did that process kind of go?
well, it went from the milk can to this canvas bag that kind of had a long neck on it, and you would put the water, fish, and a little bit of ice in there, and then you just flop that neck over like that and put it in a saddlebag, and off you went. Those weren't all that great. They might leak, so therefore and there's no extra oxygen being put in there, so you better have a small, short horse trip, to get there. You don't want to be out and about for 8 or 10 hours. Then it transferred to, we get these large plastic chemical bottles, got a great screw-on lid to them. Those could be put in a black backpack, a pannier box on the side of a horse. But again, you couldn't inject any oxygen.
And these different iterations, were these mostly coming out of Mackay because of the High Mountain Lake program, or was this kind of statewide?
Yeah, it was all suggestions from here, and fish biologist Stacy Gebhardt's, he tested it here, and he was responsible for the transition to the commercially available plastic bags. They used to be if you go to one of these buffet restaurants, you'll see the big milk machine, and you lift up that heavy weight, and there's a little nipple sticking out, and that's where you fill your glass up with milk. Well, that's the bag that's inside there. And he actually tested, before that, he actually scuba dived what lake they were going to dive these planes on, and just to prove that you could dump fish out of an airplane at X number of miles per hour. And he would be out there, scuba gear, and he would, count the mortality, if any.
Really?
And they are like little torpedoes. They survive.
So he's actually out there in the water as the plane's flying over.
They knew where they were.
Wow.
He knew where they were going and packed in there and was ready to test that. So, when you're throwing 10-gallon milk cans out of an airplane, that's not cool. So, the one airplane that we've used for decades out of McCall, he actually has one of those. His father actually cut the bottom out of a 10-gallon milk can and inverted it like a funnel.
Yeah.
And then that neck went through the belly of the plane, and then he had like 6 or 8 inch stovepipe curved towards the back of the plane. And you would have the plastic bags, cut them open, dump them in the top of that, or the bottom part of that milk can, and out they go, out the bottom of the airplane.
That's amazing.
And the survival is great for doing that. But I've seen a video of it, and he showed me a video of it. And when they do that dive on some of these real steep lakes, every alarm is going off in that plane.
I bet.
Because it doesn't want to do that. And it's telling you that you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
Are you guys fishing gamers going along on some of those stocking trips?
Not on the flights.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
These days it's too much of a risk and a liability, so it's only essential staff that go on those. So for us, it's just the pilots. But Kelsey, she kind of runs our High Mountain Lake program here in Mackay, and she puts together all of the flight plans. So we're basically rearing the fish, meeting all those requests, putting together the flight plan, and we do everything but go on the plane. So it's kind of a
Are you scared of flying?
I get motion sickness, so that
that drop, I can imagine.
It'd be a little rough, but it'd be really cool to see it.
Yeah. If you could do it, would you do it?
I think it'd be an opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah.
You've lived in Idaho your whole life. Have you done any flown into any backcountry airstrips?
Nope, I haven't.
Okay.
So
Who was transporting the fish back in the day on those horses? Was that hatchery staff or were those COs?
Yeah, COs.
Okay.
Those guys
And they
helped out a lot.
And they still kind of, when we talked to Justin Williams up there in Salmon, he was talking about that's part of their job too.
Well, yeah, they're doing double duty. They're doing enforcement as well as wildlife stuff. So
they're still doing that to this day.
Absolutely. We used to have Boy Scouts come out and go packing.
Really?
And as far as survival in one of those bags, we had a group get lost for 12 hours. And as long as you keep it cool and you don't poke a hole in that bag, those fish are fine. They're happy. They don't care.
Yeah.
That's the best home they've ever had is in that bag, pressurized oxygen, man.
Yeah.
So
that's really neat.
Yeah, that opportunity is pretty widespread. I mean, it's a lot of IDFG folks, but we also get members of the public that come and volunteer.
Yeah.
If, someone's got a special lake.
You just volunteered earlier.
Yeah.
It's really pretty easy.
That can be arranged.
Can you guys talk about the history and kind of the longevity of our hatching stocking trucks and what they used to be back in the day and what they are now?
Well, talking about oxygen in the tanks, the first oxygen injection system was 1925, and they were commercially available. They were called oxy tanks, and they had 4 oxygen cylinders, and they were mounted on an REO Speedwagon. 1925 REO Speedwagon. They lasted, the concept, I guess, I don't know how a rural place like this would get a hold of those oxygen cylinders in a timely manner, but they were replaced within 10 years, I believe, with just a recirculating system. Mm. And you would have a pump and sprayer heads up underneath the lids of the tank, and you would basically just be aerating that water from atmosphere. Not quite as efficient as pure oxygen, but if you do it enough and long enough, they're probably okay.
So even back then in 1925, they figured out you got to have oxygen.
Oh yeah, well,
you can't just fill a bathtub and put fish in it and drive it off.
Well, let's just say you can take more fish.
Okay.
With that, then yeah.
Okay.
So you don't want one goldfish in the bowl,
Yeah.
So
yeah. I guess I kind of wanted to also just also ask, how is this hatchery, but also I guess the hatchery program across the state, how is it funded?
So it kind of varies.
Okay.
A lot of your resident hatcheries are funded primarily through license and tag sales. So that large pot of money is divvied out across those resident hatcheries, and that makes up our main operating budget.
Okay.
And then some other sources, the Dingell-Johnson Act. We have some grants that fund specific programs. For example, the Henry's Lake Hatchery Program. That's funded through an excise tax on fishing and boating equipment. So when you go buy tackle or you put gas in your boat, you're in a way directly funding programs like that make fishing better.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What's the worst thing you guys have smelled on the job?
Besides Connor.
Yeah.
The fuzzy fungus morts that die in between the dam boards, and then you pull those dam boards and those screens, and they're unidentifiable as a fish, but man, they smell like bad fish, though. Really bad. That's probably the worst. Although, made the mistake of live trapping a skunk one time. And,
oh, that's right. Tell me that story.
Well, what you normally smell is one thing, but when they get that first couple poofs out, then the weird cottage cheese stuff starts coming out, and I'll tell you what, that is a whole different skunk smell.
Wait, what?
Oh, man.
Cottage cheese stuff?
You'll have to see
Oh,
it
okay.
to believe it,
Yeah,
buddy.
I'll get right on that.
I'll just leave it at that. But that is actually, I'm going to say that's probably the worst one.
Did you get zapped by one, or was it?
No.
Okay.
I had him on a 12-foot broom handle in the trap, but he wasn't happy. And so can't recommend doing that.
Yeah, top that, Christian.
I don't know that I can. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting smells at fish hatcheries. I mean, if you don't like the smell of fish, I mean, you're
Good luck.
yeah.
Do you
from the
get used
get-go.
to it?
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember like when my wife first moved in with me, it was like you come home and you just smell like fish food or fish slime or whatever it might be. That's just part of it. And then these days it's not a thing. No one ever mentions the smell of fish.
Well, she's a keeper if she stuck around this long.
Absolutely.
I would apologize to the ladies at the bank when I go in there. Like, I'm sorry, I smell this bad, but really, and I would stand and kind of, hand my stuff to them.
Yeah.
But going back in time, I talked to the widow of a longtime hatchery worker, and he worked at Ashton and Warm River, and that butchering smell. She would start washing his clothes on a Friday and wash them and wash them and wash them and never get that tallow smell out of his clothes. And you can imagine she was using some pretty good detergent back then.
Yeah. And that was back during the slaughterhouse hatchery days?
Yeah, that was red meat diet stuff. And,
Yeah.
And then imagine the bathtub ring in the raceways of that fat floating on the top of the water as you just kind of slopped it out. It would be, I can't imagine what the hatcheries smelled like. Or
I want to know what one of those fish tasted like.
what fish?
The fish that were eating horse meat?
Yeah, the fish that were eating horse meat.
Oh, well, let's not go there.
Okay.
Can't imagine, and nobody will ever know.
Yeah, I guess.
I never heard. Nobody ever said anything that they were bad. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just big old chunk of like red meat, like
Floating down the raceway?
no, like you cut a fish, you fillet a fish, and it's just it looks like a steak. Trout back straps. What about you, Kelsey?
Yeah, I think the worst thing I've smelled is probably working around water a lot, so stuff gets wet a lot. And we went and helped spawn one time, and the gloves that they had us use, that smell was on my hands for a couple days, even after washing vigorously.
What were you doing? Scrubbing out the raceways?
No, we were spawning fish, but just those
The
gloves that everyone has
The
been
milty
using.
gloves.
Just that they've been wet and then just hung up. Probably didn't dry all the way, and then several people putting them on all the time. But yeah, that was pretty bad.
I'm heading up to McCall to help spawn next week, so I'll have to.
You won't have that problem. You won't be wearing gloves, so you'll be fine. This was in the winter time, so it was a little different. But yeah.
Oh, good Lord. Is there anything that I forgot to ask you guys, by the way, that you wanted to?
Well, on your sheet here, you wondered why, or a quick and dirty history of Mackay. Yeah. And the reason Mackay is here is because of the mining from the 1880s, and they've mined copper. And the reason Mackay is sitting right where it's at is because the railroad ended there. It bypassed the previous town of Houston, which is 3 miles south of there. That was the center of everything. But the railroad bypassed Houston because they surveyed all the way to Salmon and surveyed all the way to Stanley. And they found out the miners were embellishing their amount of ore that they thought they could put on the railroad. And then the railroad just said, no, I don't think so.
They're embellishing up there in that country?
Yeah,
okay.
They wanted the railroad really bad. But
yeah.
Imagine how much blasting would take to get another road up to Salmon.
Yeah. Well, I just finished reading this great book about the history of the Yankee Fort.
Oh, yeah.
And Custer City and Bonanza City.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Just that. I don't know if you've done the full motorway, the Custer motorway, but imagining it back in the day before the CCC went in there and cut the roads up.
That's a tough road.
Yeah. But they talked about Mackay, which I didn't realize Mackay went back that far.
Oh, yeah. 1880s.
Yeah.
On the backside of the hill in Cliff Creek. Then it came around the front. There was actually a town called White Knob on the side of the hill there.
Oh, okay.
That predated Mackay. To the point where when Mackay was laid out where it's at right now, some of those businesses came down to Mackay. They actually dragged buildings from Houston dragged them up the dirt road and put them on Main Street. And but that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Is Mackay named after some rancher or person that settled?
John Mackay, who is a very successful miner from Arizona. He also started Postal Telegraph. So he's a famous guy. He was the best friend of Wayne Darlington, who was an engineer. That's the guy who laid out Mackay. And one little tidbit about Mackay is Mackay Hatchery actually started as an egg take station up at the head of the reservoir.
Really?
And the water quality wasn't there as high in nitrogen, so it killed 50% of the eggs they took.
Wow.
They saw this water here. They actually built the hatchery and didn't own the land. This was public domain until 1943 when we actually got a title to this 40 acres.
Oh,
Those
wow.
scalawags.
We were squatting.
Yeah.
But we were the state, so nobody questioned it,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, we didn't get a title until 43.
That's interesting.
Made it legal.
Well, shoot. Let's play a quick round of rapid fire and wrap this baby up. I know it's getting toasty. All right. What was your first concert that you went to?
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
What about you? What about you,
Alice
Mick?
Cooper.
Alice Cooper.
All right.
I've actually not been to like a big concert. Like I've been to band concerts
Yeah.
like in high school.
What was your favorite band concert?
Oh, they weren't. They
Would you rather get mauled by a grizzly bear or shish kebabbed by an elk antler, Mick?
Elk, I guess.
Yeah.
I think I might live from that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christian?
I don't know. I would probably say mauled. Just get it over with.
oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
Ugh. I don't know. I think I'd probably take the elk.
Yeah.
So,
Go for it, Tom.
Fly rod or spin rod?
I'm from Michigan, so I'm a lake guy, so I'm trolling.
You're
So,
trolling, okay.
Yeah, I'm trolling. Yeah,
But you, Christian?
Both.
Both?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
that's
just
cheating.
Hey, whatever's working.
We won't hold
that's what-
I just learned how to fly fish
Yeah?
recently, and that's pretty fun. That's,
Yeah. Kind of addicting.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
hard to pass up.
What's the biggest fish you've caught in Idaho? And I'm not going to ask you to
Tell us
your
exactly
spot,
where you
but just-
caught it.
Yeah, just generally like the area.
Rainbow Mackay Reservoir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sturgeon, like 6-foot sturgeon
Oh, nice.
down in Hagerman.
Cool.
Probably a 12-inch brown trout on the south fork of the Snake.
Okay, cool.
What's the weirdest food you've ever eaten?
Holy smokes.
Fish
one
pellet?
One of the previous fish cultures, we were on a conference and he dragged me into a Japanese restaurant and that's where they throw food at you. And I was not going to catch that shrimp that he threw at me. So
Oh, like with your mouth's open?
yeah,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
one of those guys.
Yeah.
I just let it go by me. I don't do crustaceans.
Yeah.
Like the comedian said, if you're standing down somebody's basement and a
Yeah.
lobster crawled out from behind the furnace, would you want to eat it? Probably not.
No.
Yeah.
So,
There you go. Great advice.
yeah.
What about you, Kelsey?
Sorry, what was the question?
Weirdest food you've ever eaten?
Oh, weirdest food? Probably frog legs.
Oh.
Oh, I've never had frog legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't taste. It wasn't bad. Kind of just tasted like
Tastes like chicken.
fish.
Yeah.
Bring us home, Tom.
Okay, last one.
Yep.
Let's see here. You have 1 week to hunt any big game animal in Idaho. Which animal and why?
None.
None? You're not a hunter?
No.
No? Okay. More of a fish guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have 1 week to go for any fish in Idaho. One fishing trip. Where would you go?
Salmon Falls for walleye.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'll take the fishing route as well.
Yeah.
I think Boone Creek, Cutthroat.
What kind of cutthroat?
Whatever's native there.
Oh, okay.
I'll probably also go the fishing route.
All right.
Just because I've never hunted, so
Yeah.
maybe you should take that out.
No, that's all right.
Probably, it's on my list to catch a grayling. I think
Yeah.
that'd be really cool to catch a
You want to come with
too.
us tonight?
Yeah.
Sure.
Go up to the pond.
Sweet.
Go.
Yeah.
Well, holy smokes, you guys! I've been so excited for this podcast for weeks now. Thanks for putting us up for the weekend and sitting down and talking with us about the Mackay Hatchery.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
been fun.
Thanks for all that you guys do up here to provide fish for anglers. Not just one fish, but 9 of them.
Yeah.
Well, we're appreciative of the spotlight on hatcheries. It's fun to kind of share what we do, and a lot of folks don't really know what goes into a hatchery, so it's been fun. Thanks.
So we should do another hatchery episode at some point.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Yep.
That'd be kind of cool.
There's a lot
This
of
one might
people
be
out
hard
there.
to beat.
I know.
A lot of people out there that don't know we've been doing this for 118 years.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have a view like this, we're not coming to it. So
Yeah, you're spoiled now.
Well, I can tell you out of the other hatcheries, this is one out of the 3 that is not what I consider being built in a hole.
Yeah.
Everywhere else you're looking up and out.
Mm.
This, Sandpoint, and Sawtooth are the 3 nice views.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why this hatchery is unique. One of the questions I was going to start with was, which hatchery is the best hatchery?
Yeah.
And why is it Mackay?
That's great.
Well, hopefully you know by now.
Yep, I think we covered a lot of reasons why it ranks highly.
Should we petition to change the name to the Mackay Fish Ranch?
I think so.
How do you think that would go over?
That's out of my hands.
Okay. We'll run it up the flagpole and see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mick, are you still good to show us the museum?
You betcha.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Kelsey.
Yeah, thank you.
Christian, for putting us up.
Back to
Thanks
it.
for having us.
Yeah.
These fish aren't going to feed themselves.
I know.
Yep.
Let's get to work.
All right.
Thanks, you guys.